You're on the air with Florenza, your podcast destination for authentic conversations with a twist. So, grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and join me on this unique literary journey. Cheers!
Kawan is a celebrated American author of urban fiction. He burst onto the literary scene in 2002 with his debut novel, Gangsta, which became an Essence bestseller. Over the years, Kawan has penned many best-selling novels, including the popular Animal series, and has received multiple Street Lit Book Award medals. His works are known for their gritty realism and interesting storytelling, earning him a dedicated following and critical acclaim. In Passion for the Heist, Kawan introduces readers to Parish Payne Wells, a former heist man recently released from prison, and Passion Adams, a woman struggling with her own demons. Their paths cross in a world of crime and desperation, leading them on a thrilling journey of survival and redemption. As they navigate their troubled past and the dangers of their present, Pain and Passion find themselves drawn together, embarking on the heist that could change their lives forever. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Kawan.
Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, can I tell you just off camera, Quan and I are having an amazing time. And so we are so excited that he is here joining us. And Quan, I've read your bio, but just tell us a little bit about yourself that perhaps didn't show up online from what I was able to kind of scrounge around.
Okay, let's start with something, a really fun fact that most people don't know until you know me for a while. My name is not Kwan.
Oh, okay.
You know, my name is Kwan, but everybody flubs it. So it's like, I don't trip over it, but everybody flubs it. They call me K1, they call me Kwan, but my mother named me Kwan.
Kwan.
Yeah, Kwan, yeah.
Kwan. All right then, Kwan. I like that even better. So, yeah. We know how to say it correctly, and as one with an unusual first name, I understand the power of correcting so that we can all be on the same page. So, Kawan, tell us a little bit about what drove you to penning your newest project, Passion for the Heist.
That is such a cool story. I've been like, when I started out, I was just very gritty, very raw, talent. I wasn't necessarily the best at structuring stories. So, you know, over the years, my style has gotten more polished, you know, and my stories have become more refined. They still have the usual grit that is, you know, my signature thing, but it had been so long since I wrote like a real gangster story, let's say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was inspired by me going through, because like, people don't know that when I write my books, outside of the editing process, I never read them again. So like over like maybe the last couple of years, I've been listening to my books starting from the beginning on audio. And so I was like, what happened to that kid who was all full of piss and vinegar? What happened to him? Like, I'm a dad now and, you know, got kids in college. I'm, you know, my highlight of my day is going to Walmart. What happened to that kid?
Uh-huh.
I was like, well, let me see if I still got that. So, Passion for the Heist, and it's also like based on like I grew up in the era of the chain snatcher, New York City. You know, like that era where it was just like lawlessness. And I wanted to write a story that was set in modern time, but it reflected that. So this is why the characters are not like these great bank robbers or jewel thieves. They're stick-up kids. They're purse snatchers. They're train robbers. You know. So that was.
Now I read in your bio that one of the authors that pretty much had influence for you in your writing and just you creatively is Donald Gowan. Now, I got to tell you, I started reading Donald's books. I had to be about 9 years old. So not an age that one should be reading
That's some heavy reading for a 9-year-old. That's heavy.
Yes. And when my mother found out, I'm positive I got the books from my aunt. But when my mother found out what I had been reading, she nearly blew a gasket. Like she.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So how did his writings and writings like his frame your moving forward creatively?
It's crazy because I discovered Donald Goins later in life. As I was an adult when I read my first Donald Goins, well, not a young adult when I read my first Donald Goins book. And what I found is like, we have these stories about where we come from and things that we go through, but sometimes we're ashamed, like, at least for me, I was ashamed to put that out there. And when I saw Donald, I think the first Donald Goins, the first one I read was Daddy Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, he's putting it all out there. He is just laying it out there. And this is what we're going through. This is like the life experiences. This was the Black experience,
right.
So to speak. And so that's what it gave me confidence to say, you know what? I can tell my story. I can tell that I grew up in a crack house. I grew up to drug addicted parents. This is what happened as a kid. I can tell that and I don't have to feel no shame.
Yes. Yes. And that's so powerful when we own our voice and when we own our stories. It frees us up to enter into this space of creativity with no hindrances. And do you feel that because of that, it don't have shame even in your writing?
Yeah, I think that was a big part of it. Even though that sometimes you still feel like, oh, should I put that in there? But what I found is the best stories are the ones where you just write with no inhibitions.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm going to bare my soul and you can judge me and you can feel however you want to feel. That's what it is. But what ends up happening is, and it was like the same thing with me and Donald Goins. When you do it like that, there's always someone out there who can identify. Yes. You're not the only you. As far as like life experience and things like that, you're not the only you. There's a thousand yous out there you may not have met, and you connect them through these words.
Yes. And that's when you build true fans. That's when it's not just people liking a post because they want to be in that mass number saying that they're following you. But this is when you develop fans, and those are the ones that are going to buy your product. They're the ones that's going to support you. They're the ones that's going to carry your story into spaces where you've yet to even enter.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's an absolute fact. And I don't, and I don't use the word fans.
Mm-hmm.
My readers and my cousins, I look at them like a family, like we're all this insane family. So, and people like when I'm at a book sign, I'm like, hey cousin. They
nice.
Like, hey cousin. And people are like, y'all related? And I'm like,
yeah. Yes. We're related through this creativity. I love it. So I'm going to have to borrow that.
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah, I will be 60 in a few days.
Get out of here.
And yes. And, I grew up in that era where everybody was your cousin. Like my daughters were recently asking me about, someone in particular. And my older daughter, she's 37 and she still looks like she's 12. But she said, so tell me again how you all are related. And so I said, what do you mean? And she's like, what family member are you related with? And I said, we're not related that way. We're related through choice. And she said, all these years?
Yeah. But it's trippy because I grew up in that, like that too. Like we had, like everybody was a cousin, whether you shared blood or not. This is cousin such and such, cousin such and such, cousin so on and so forth, And even though you might not share like one drop of blood, but your families grew up together and have known each other since forever. Like we all lived in the same building, something like that.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Now getting back to Passion for the Heist, I want to dive into the story and your character so that the listeners can get an inside view of what's going on with this amazing story. It's very gritty. It's very impolite, and I love that.
I like you how you believe that. Yeah.
It is gritty and impolite, and it's going to make you think. So Payne's journey involves trying to stay on the straight and narrow for his grandmother's sake. What inspired you to write about a character seeking redemption after being wrongfully imprisoned?
Because that was me to an extent. My people put all these hopes on me. Like I was, This really, really smart kid. I was a child prodigy. They had big aspirations. I ended up pissing away a lot of my scholarships, but I still managed to get myself together. I stayed in high school 5 years. And let me tell you why. I got my first scholarship offered to college in the 8th grade. I was one of those. So, but I wanted to, my friends were not like that. My friends were all I wanted to be more like them. So I squandered a lot of opportunities. So I stumbled my way through the last couple of years of high school, and everybody was like, why don't you just drop out? Get your GED. You're not going to finish. So on and so forth. You really want to be a 5th year senior? And I said, yeah, because I wanted to walk. Right. So my mother could see me walk, and I could receive that diploma. So I stayed in high school a 5th year. And a lot of people don't know that. But I stayed in high school a 5th year for that. So, so now, okay, I finally got out of high school. I managed to go off and enroll myself in a community college in Illinois. Ended up going to another college in upstate New York, and then I went to the county jail. So it was the shame, my grandmother and my mom, they had placed so much on me. They were so hopeful that I would be the one in the family, and I went and I just threw it all away. And I was embarrassed. I was so embarrassed that, when I came back from when I got out of jail and I came back to the city, I would sleep at different friends' houses, or if the weather was nice, maybe I'll find a good park bench to cuddle up on. Because I had a hard time. People were like, well, why did you just come home? And I'm like, I had a hard time facing my grandmother because I knew I had disappointed her. So I couldn't look at her. And and I was acting like everything. They're like, where you staying? Oh, I'm hooking up with this girl and I'm staying with her. And I'm really not. I'm really damn near homeless.
Wow.
But it was just such a disappointment, And so that was the motivation for pain. Like, he was tired of breaking his grandmother's heart. He was tired of disappointing his grandmother.
Now, before we go on, just, for the listeners and for myself, is your grandmother still alive? Has she been able to see? So what does she think now, seeing this version of you, seeing you come full circle to what I know she must have always seen in you?
You know what's crazy? She didn't, though. My grandmother one day pulled me to the side, right? And she said, I owe you an apology. I said, for what? What'd I do? She said, because to put it in context, when I started writing my first book, right, I didn't have a computer of my own. My uncle had a computer. My uncle lived on the other side of town. So he would be like, if you can get to my house before I go to work, you can sit up in here and in my apartment and use my computer. So I would have to get up at maybe 5 or 6 in the morning and walk across town to his house. And he would leave for work. And when he came back, I would still be sitting in the same spot. So my grandmother said, all them days when you were going to your uncle's house, we all thought you were just over there playing on the internet, because this was around the internet was still fairly new.
Yeah.
We all thought you were playing on the internet. We had no idea that you were really over there, right? And this is, I said, that's what y'all thought? She said, yes, we all used to be like, we're talking about he writing. He playing on the internet. And then boom, here's this book. So years later, she told me, and I said, I never knew that.
Do you think that would have changed how you moved forward if you would have, did you feel that they were supporting you, or did you just not put any thought into it?
One thing about that, your friends and family are the people who support you the least. You get more love. And I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right. It just is way.
It just is way. So and my mother was my motivation, because this was my mother's dream. She always wanted to be a writer. She died before she could ever be published. She died, my mother died, I want to say my mother died 2 months before my first book came. But she never got to hold it and see it. Wow. So when people ask me, because, I play a lot, but I'm a very serious writer. And I take the craft very, very seriously, and I'm quick to chastise and scold people who don't.
Correct.
And when they ask me, well, why do you take it so seriously? And I said, you have no idea what kind of pressure it is to live, to walk in someone else's dream.
Correct.
This was never my dream. I never wanted to be a writer. I still, to this day, I'm like, but it was my mother's dream. She wanted it so bad. She wanted it more than anything. And just fell just that short.
Do you find that you have incorporated any of her stories into your stories, or is it the fact that this is something that she wanted so desperately that you are fulfilling her dream, and that's the way that you honor what she wanted?
I'm definitely honoring her by fulfilling her dream. And I didn't expect it. You really called me a type. I didn't expect it. I thought I was going to maybe write one book, make a little money, and I did not know. If you had told me 23 years ago, 22 years ago, that I would be where I am now, I would call you a liar. I'm like, I'm a robber. I'm a stinking kid. I'm a drunk. I'm a womanizer. I'm not that. I'm married. I have 2 daughters in college. I, live this quiet life in this little suburban town. So I didn't see anything, I didn't see any of it.
Do you think that not seeing it is what made it possible? Sometimes we see things and we start aiming for it and it takes us off course. Whereas once you're just living, you find yourself at a destination that you never knew possible.
Yep. And I like to keep it like that. Like, I think that's why I remain so humble. Like, I'm just like, I don't buy into, like, people always say, King Juan, and so I don't buy into none of that. I'm thankful for the accolades when people give me my flowers, but the moment that I even start to believe it a little bit, the universe is going to humble me and take my gift.
So to date, how many books have you published?
Maybe about 40 something.
Wow.
Yeah, because I write under a pen name, like I've ghostwritten for other authors. So I count, like the books that I've ghostwritten, I count those.
Yeah, because you wrote them.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Going back to Passion for the Heist, both Pain and Passion have complex backstories, which is what I really appreciated about the book, that these weren't just 2 characters that I feel were thrown at me. Like, I absolutely have their backstory. I feel like, just like you said, that they're cousins. When developing your characters and giving them such deep backstories, do you find that you dig into your personal life or the lives around you? Or do you allow the characters to speak to you and tell you who they are?
Both. It's a combination of everything. Like, I tap into my personal life. I tap into sometimes the lives of people I know. But primarily the characters, you have to tell me who you are as a character. Let me know why you're good enough to read this story. And I don't and it trips people out because I never know what I'm going to say from one page to the next. I never have a clear idea and outline. Nothing. I never know what I'm going to say from one page to the next. It's totally off the top.
Yep,
so,
pantsers.
Yeah, right.
And I've tried doing outlines. I've tried, following.
They're restricted. It's like, and sometimes it's required by a publisher that you do an outline. But for me, it's like you're asking me to write while shackled.
Yes. Because I know whatever I wrote is going to change. Like, it absolutely is going to change.
Yeah.
Because the characters in my head, they're going to be like, no, we ain't doing that.
I always joke with people, if you look at a lot of my books, right, and you read the synopsis, because the synopsis is usually what we turn in first.
Correct.
And then you read the story has absolutely nothing to do with the synopsis. Nothing.
It was the seed. See, the fruit never looks like the seed. People don't understand that. That was the seed. Right? You got the fruit in your hands. I love also that this particular book, that the themes that are woven throughout the pages is a combination of loss balanced with hope. And how do you see this theme of loss and the pursuit of hope playing out through Passion and Pain's relationship?
Well, I think in the beginning, if you look at them both, they were 2 hopeless kids. Pain was just coming home from jail, and Passion suffering through a cycle of abuse. And it's like, and if you notice, like, it's not a traditional love story where they get together and then throughout the book they're together. There are these chance meetings, like the universe keeps pushing them together, and then there's pushing together. But with each meeting, they become a little more hopeful about things that are going on in their life. They start, like, not from the relationship aspect, but as far as just being hopeful about changing the direction and the dynamics of their lives.
And that's how real life is. I can't kick certain genres, but there are certain mainstream genres that before it even starts, you already know what's going to happen, right? It just follows this little blueprint, and that's why they're successful commercially. But when you pick up a book like this one, and from page to page, you literally do not know what's getting ready to take place. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
And sometimes even for me, I don't because I don't know what's going to happen, and I might have to go back. Like I might get all the way to like let's say chapter 20 something, and think about something that I did in chapter 5, and then go back and tweak it, and have to work through the whole book all over again. So because it's like you never know what's going to happen. I'm like, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. Like there was another book that I wrote called Gutter, and I only did this twice. Started at the end. I wrote the ending, and then did the book and ended. So it's like but like I think that it's important that you not know, because it's like cliche. If you're like, all right, I can kind of guess where this story's going to go. Even if you finish the book, it plants a seed in the back of your mind that this book is going to be predictable. So the excitement is not quite there.
Correct. Absolutely. How did you bring in with the love story and with the elements of hope and loss? How difficult, or for you maybe easy, was it to create such tension and suspense at the same time?
I don't know if it was difficult, and I don't know that it was easy. It kind of just was. It's like, whenever I'm writing, like Payne's art or Passion's art, I have to switch my brain to that side. So I can't really think for Payne while I'm writing Passion, and vice versa. So that was the tricky part, kind of figuring. That's why it seems like you're reading two different books in one novel, and that's a habit of mine that I'm trying to break, but I think it works out beautifully because I'm good at like making patchwork blankets.
Yeah. Weaving it together. And I think it's the authenticity of the story that weaves those two elements together. And that's why it works for you. There are other people that perhaps write the same way, but it comes across as being choppy. And the element that you have is where we started. You were talking about the authenticity and leaning into your experiences and not shying away from it. In this book, it has a really high social commentary theme. How important, not just creatively, but as a Black male, how important is it for you to be that beacon when it comes to representing culturally your community?
I don't know if it was important to me to be a beacon. I know it is important for me to tell these young brothers and sisters, I see you. I see you. You're not invisible. I see you.
That's profound. And that end is where your success lies, in authenticity and in being the voice to say just that. I see you. Where do you see yourself going with these characters future-wise? Do you see them developing into other stories? Do you see them making it on a big screen? What is your hope for Passion and Pain?
I mean, ultimately, for all of my novels, I would love for them to make it on the big screen. But for Passion and Pain, I'm actually writing the sequel now. Oh my God, it's going to be like this book. I got to introduce you to these two lovers, right? And it's like, oh, I'm swooning. They found each other. This Bonnie and Clyde, Romeo and Juliet type of story. Now let's get to the action.
Uh-oh.
That part. So now, and it's like me, I equate writing. This is how I always explain to people how my brain works when I'm writing like a series or sequel or whatever. That first book is like when you just meet somebody, right? Just meet somebody else maybe went out on 1 or 2 dates. That second book is like, all right, now we're getting a little more familiar with each other, you know what I'm saying? They realize now, and then the third book is like, okay, we about to get married because I know you're
yeah.
intimate. So it's stages. So in like the first book, I had introduced them. Second book, now you know them. Now let's get to it. Like the whole thing, like, and it's so crazy that you said, about my characters overlap the universe. My readers call it the Kawanaverse. Like
the Kawanaverse. I love it.
Because like the Detective Wolf character, who I introduced towards the end, he's also in several other series that I've written.
Okay.
He's this hard-nosed detective, and I can't wait to because people love Wolf. They love Wolf. And that's why I saved him to the end. So they're like, oh, cause like when the wolf is on the boy, it's different. It's different. So I want to the next book, I want it to be really high octane and fast paced.
Nice. Do you find that by allowing your characters to move freely from book to book, series to series, that's what allows even your characters to become your cousins?
You know what? I don't know, because believe it or not, it's not something that I do intentionally. It's a trick of my mind. And I'll be writing something and I'll be like, you know who will fit good here?
Come on over, Wolf.
Come on, Wolf. You know, and people who love him from these other stories is disgraced cop, but he's very hard-nosed and he looks like a wolf. That's why they call him Wolf. And he's like when the premiere track was like, he is very, very, very good at finding lost things.
Nice.
And so, and when he and Payne butt heads, because they're essentially the same person, except Wolf has a badge.
That's important to understand too, especially for young readers to get that you can still go on in life with this passion, that you have this drive, this determination, this grit, and still be you, just on the other side of the law. Like, you can still be you on the other side.
Right. Like I tell people, people are, oh, I hate police. Not all cops are bad. You know,
Correct.
I know cops like that. Cops that I don't put his name out there, but watch them grow up from a little boy. Like, I know how his parents are cut. So it trips us out that he's a detective. But you know what I'm saying? But he's such a great, great kid. He was always a great kid. And now he's a great cop, you know?
Yeah.
It's like not all cops are bad. And I honestly believe that we need more of us on that side. We need more police. We need more lawyers. We need more judges. We need more people in office in these places of power. You know, we have to balance that. We have to even the playing field. We can march and protest until we blue in the face.
Right.
But until we start putting our own in positions, it's over. We shall overcome. I'm tired of marching.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, in true fashion, before we end our show, first tell the listeners where they're able to follow you, to become your cousin, because I know you don't like fan followers. Where are the listeners able to transcend from listenership to cousinship?
You can follow me on my Instagram. I'm always on Instagram, Kawan_I am legend. My Twitter, I'm always tweeting out funny, sometimes politically incorrect things. Because my Twitter is Kawan the Writer. You can find me on Facebook at Kawan Writes or Kawan the Writer.
Nice. Nice. So, when I end my shows, I like to do a this or that. And it's simply, I'm going to give you the option of two things, and don't think too much about it because they're silly things, and say which of the two things that comes to mind, right? So, So snowball fight or building sandcastles?
Snowball fight.
Nice. Working alone or working with a team?
Alone.
Winter or summer?
That's a tricky one because I hate winters primarily because I don't like to drive in the snow. And I'm not a big fan of summer because, you know, I'm up the dock. The sun is like beating them. We gonna beat you. I don't know. I'm about summer. Let's go summer.
Okay, go summer. Blue jeans or khakis?
Blue jeans.
And this one has divided my family pretty much, especially with 7 bathrooms in the house. Toilet paper over or toilet paper under?
Over. I like to.
Yes.
Let it roll. Yeah, I think people are weird that do it. It's too much. Like, you gotta, come on. It's weird. You're giving me serial killer vibes.
I love it. I concur. And I have to go around. There's 7 toilets in this house, and I have to go around and flip those dang on rows.
Because I'm very anal about that. Like, we ain't got 7 bathrooms. We ain't got 3 bathrooms. But I'm very anal about that. You know, like, who took the damn toilet paper in like this?
Who did this?
Because, like a habit, when you go to spin and it don't spin right.
Yes.
It just does something to me. Oh,
it messes with you.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have to write that into one of your books. That's a good way to call somebody to flip a script.
Yeah, like, come on, like, who raised you? Who told you to put toilet paper in? Who raised you?
Who raised you?
Even if I'm in a public bathroom and I'll change it.
If it's flippable, I'm going to flip it.
Flippable, I'll change it.
Yeah, I will too. Yeah. So we're toilet paper flippers is what we are.
Yeah.
TPF. That's our new name. TPF. Well, this has been amazing. I am looking forward to having you to come back and talk to us about the second book in this series. This is the appetizer phase. I can't wait till we get to the main course and then the dessert. And just so that we can continue to learn more about pain and passion, and now Wolf, to see how their stories intertwine.
Yes.
So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so appreciative of it. Thank you very much.
You are welcome.
And this wraps up another episode of On the Air with Florenza. You may follow me on all social media platforms under Florenza Lee or via my website at florenza.org. Until next time, cheers.